All right. Welcome to the IDP Hunter Podcast. Got a new intro host here, I guess. I'm new to this, so Steve, yell at me if I'm screwing it up. IDP Hunter Podcast. My name is Joe Bond, founder of FantasySixPack.net. With me is the IDP Hunter himself, Steve Hungarter. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on? I'm really excited to be part of Hard Knocks, the Joe Bond edition.
Yeah, I don't think that I'm that exciting. This is gonna be the worst Hard Knocks ever. I'm like the New York Giants version of the Hard Knocks. Oh, suck it.
So lame.
All right, so we're gonna be doing a new format of this show, a little bit similar to what you did before, but trimmed down. Just quick, get in and get out. Just studs and duds from the week. I'm going to be hitting the offensive side. You're going to be hitting the defensive side. We'll have a little conversation back and forth. Boom, we done. But before we jump into all that, while you're here, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, leave those comments, leave those reviews. We love to hear from you. And of course, while you are here too, jump over to FantasySixPack.net, become an all-access member. You're going to get access to all of our award-winning rankings, including mine and Steve's. Go ahead and use promo code F6PNFL24 to save 15%. So yeah, you ready to do this, man?
I'm ready, and let's it's the truth. I got the number 3 offensive ranker on Fantasy Pros with me, and you have the number 4 IDP ranker. Oh, you're 2. My bad. See, I need to get updated.
I was number 3 last
number
week.
2 and number 4 now. There's a lot of magic that's about to happen on this podcast.
Yeah. So, all right, man. So let's start with some studs. And we'll start with the good news, right? So, because I guess I've got an extra one. I'll on each side here. I'll go first just to lead it off. And dude, how do you not start with Nick Chubb? Like, the production wasn't there, but dude, what a monster! An absolute stud for coming back from that disastrous knee injury. The Browns are a complete mess. He found the end zone, though. Like, he was legit. I mean, he was the only guy who scored. So, look, I think it was roughly around 30% of the snaps already in week 1. That's a good showing. He's not going to be the same Nick Chubb. I really don't think he will be. But, I mean, he's a guy that, you can probably still get for super duper cheap in your leagues if you want to trade for him. You're a lot of teams desperate for running backs. I say go for it. You're probably not going to pay a whole lot, right? And if he does end up becoming 80% of what he was, that's a home run, man. I'd do it.
Yeah, I was listening to your advice earlier about Nick Chubb, and I was like, I'm in probably top 1, 2, or 3 place in a lot of my leagues. So if I'm going to win now, why not take the guy coming off an injury who's only bound to get better? This is a buy low ultimate experience right now. So why not get some Chubb?
Yeah, absolutely. All right, man. So who is your first stud from week 7?
Okay, I'm going to counter you. You went running back. I'm going to throw a linebacker at you. And again, with IDP, you can go a little deeper with IDP. What's fun about IDP, it's never the same faces. You think of like all the popular names. This guy's not a popular name at all. In fact, you could have got him deep in your leagues. He is the number 2 linebacker in 1-2-3 scoring. Okay. He's 3rd in solo tackles, and he's 2nd in total tackles with 43 solos and 71 totals. Okay. If someone told you late in drafts you can get this guy, you'd probably be like, what? But he's scoring ahead of players like Roquan Smith, Robert Spillane, Zaire Franklin, and you can get him at the fraction of a cost. The guy's name is Germaine Pratt. He is, like I said, he is putting ranked ahead of him is Logan Wilson, but he has all the attention. Germaine Pratt is your player to own. And he's actually owned in 39% of leagues. So he doesn't make our waiver wire, but 2/3 of your league mates may not have this guy. So check him out.
Yeah. I mean, Yeah, I mean, so like we're going a different route here with some of these. Like you're going after like studs that you can pick up. I'm just going after like guys who just legit performed and I thought were fun to watch and good storylines here. And revenge game galore here. Saquon Barkley is my next one. He doesn't want to call it a revenge game, but dude, this guy was lowering the boom on his ex teammates. He was lowering the shoulder and trucking people. You tell me he didn't want this? 176 yards in, by the way, 3 quarters. He didn't play the fourth quarter. There's a dude I saw on a Facebook post somewhere that was like, how did I not hit on this bet? It was 10 yards every quarter for Saquon. It's like, yeah, the dude sat in the fourth quarter. They were up big and like, who cared, right? He only got the 1 touchdown. Could have been more, right? But the tush push is still alive there in Philly. But if you've got Saquon, man, you drafted in what? Early second round in most leagues, maybe late first if you were like really in on him.
Mm-hmm.
You're very happy with the return you're getting from Saquon Barkley. And I really don't think it's going to slow down. I really don't.
So 2 points here that Joe made. I'm going to kind of transition to my next guy. He said revenge game. I mean, don't players go off when they're playing their former teams? I mean, revenge games are where it's at, okay? The other thing, too, is you notice how the audience at home that doesn't see our screen, maybe they're hearing this on Spotify first time, I don't know. You notice how we're doing this. Joe's got premium elite talents. I got some guys you can get later, you can kind of pull. We're going at it different ways, but these are studs, right? Yep. This is kind of how we built that Kings Classic team. Remember that Kings Classic team we did down in Canton, Joe? We got all the
all your teams, not mine.
Mm-hmm. Fancy 6-pack, we're a team. Deep dart throws. How deep can you go with these dart throws? And right now we got an undefeated team. If John Gruden was here, he'd say, knock on wood if you're with me, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to throw kind of dart throw this guy, and I feel like I'm cheating a little bit here because this guy, I'm talking about him every week. If he's not a stud, he's a waiver wire pickup. He's gaining constant momentum. He went from 2% owned to 8% owned. 11, now he's owned in 45% of leagues. So I'm bringing this name up tonight. 1, 2, 3 scoring. He's the number 1 DL/LB, and he's owned in 45% of leagues. So more than half of you out there, more than half the leagues out there, this guy isn't even owned. The guy's name is Andrew Van Winkle. I almost said it's time to go sleep. Andrew Van Ginkle. Okay, week 7.
We're old, man. We're just thinking bedtime.
We're about to go to sleep. This guy put up 7 tackles, 2 sacks, and a forced fumble. Every week he produces. Every week he gets overlooked. Put this baby to sleep. Go to sleep. Take a nap with Van Ginkle, Van Winkle.
I like it. All right, so you're talking going to sleep, man. And this is gonna be the cheesiest transition ever, but gotta get that midnight snack before I go to sleep, right? So let's start cooking with Russ Wilson, right? Dude, I am not a Russ Wilson fan at all anymore. Like he's super like just what it is. But like,
I don't think anyone is Sierra, Joe.
The last couple of years have been awful for him. You cannot deny what he did against the Jets. And yes, I know they were missing some guys. And Steve, you for sure know they were missing some guys on that IDP side of the ball. But they still had a lot of their studs in there, And he just ate them up, man. He, over 200 yards, couple touchdowns, moving the ball. He was making plays that they were not able to make with Justin Fields under center, right? They struggled in the red zone. Why? Because Justin Fields could not throw the ball in the red zone. So teams were just stacking the box, coming in close, stuffing Harris, stuffing Fields. There was nowhere to go. Fields could not make the throws. He's just stepping back a couple times, just floated the ball out into space, just let Pickens and everybody just run underneath it. Just perfect floater balls. Like, kind of looked like Russell Wilson a little bit of old, man. Kind of, extending the play, making things happen. Isn't going to happen every week? I doubt it. Maybe caught the Jets a little off guard. But look, you can't deny that the Steelers are one of the best run franchises in the history of the NFL. super good coaching staff. People want to get on Tomlin all he wants for like not really getting this team super far, just kind of being mediocre for however long. How are you going to knock a guy who has never had a losing season? Like,
Right.
come on, man. Like, that is super hard to do in the NFL. This guy has gone through a lot of turnover. I mean, if anybody's going to be able to coach up Russ Wilson, it's Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Dude, I mean, like, I was watching this game last night, and that blocked field goal, like, I've never seen a team run over the special teams coach and, like, jump all around him, man. It was crazy to see. Like, this team they're just loving life right now. And look, I mean, he probably is a guy who's out there on the waiver wire. So
Yeah.
there's some teams desperate for quarterbacks right now. I just did the waiver show. It's gonna go. It just recorded it, so it'll be live shortly. But we're talking Anthony Richardson, a big bust right now, right? Pat Mahomes really isn't performing, and now I don't know if I'd be starting Wilson over Pat Mahomes, but I mean, let's be real. After 1 week, he's already outperformed him. Drake May's been outperforming Pat Mahomes, but like, not to pile on Pat Mahomes here, but like there's dudes, and like if you were relying on Jaden Daniels, he might be out this upcoming week. There's some guys. So Russ Wilson, like in the right matchup, I think you can do a lot worse. Let's say that.
Right.
So.
And I love what you said there, Joe. Hey, you can do a lot worse. You know what I mean? I kind of like Mike Tomlin's take this week. He's like, look, Fields, you've been up and down like mom's leap meatloaf. I don't love it. I don't hate it. You've been kind of mediocre. You've been all right. But I got to see what I have in Russell Wilson. He gave him the keys. Much like us fantasy owners, right? You're playing Dynasty, you're playing IDP, whatever. I need to know what my studs have in them. Am I in the loser circle or am I in the winner circle? And for my next guy, welcome back to the winner circle, Josh Mettellus. Okay. He's a DB, LB designation, so you can play him either way. But Josh Mettellus is one of those guys you had to draft early. Unlike the first two I had, you can draft super late, pick up waivers. Josh was a guy you had to take early. And he's been kind of stinking up the joint a little bit. Heading into the bye week, he had 1 interception, 27 tackles. Well, that bye week happened, and boy, it must have been a long bye week. He must have got some rest because the magic happened. He played against the Lions this week, right? He got 8 tackles and a forced fumble. He got 1/3 of his entire season production last week. So owners that drafted him and stuck with him through thick and thin, like Russell Wilson owners, you stick through him through thick and thin, right? Be happy because you got a player who's got sweet matchups next week. In the next couple of weeks, he's playing the Rams, Colts, and Jacksonville. So expect some sweet production out of Josh Mettellus. And congrats for those owners who were clever enough to stick with him.
Yeah. So my bonus, because you've only got the 3, which is fine. That's kind of what we talked about. But I had to throw in a bonus one here because I was looking through the stats and I was like, man, how can I not mention David Njoku? Dude is probably the only Cleveland Brown left, besides maybe Nick Chubb, that like I care about at all, right? I mean, this team's gonna be like behind in a lot of games because their offense can't really score. But David Njoku has 21 targets over the last 2 weeks, right? 14 last week, right? Is it fair to say that losing Watson, it's actually going to be an upgrade at quarterback, even though it's not a great upgrade? But like, Watson has been absolute garbage. And DTR or Winston, please be Winston for fantasy purposes, right? We love Winston, at least the receivers and the tight ends and everybody else does. Yes. Winston is quarterback. Ooh, makes me sweat a lot. But his receivers, man, for fantasy, gimme, because he just loves to chunk it downfield. And David Njoku's a big man. And you give him double-digit targets every week, he's going to be a top 5 tight end the rest of the season easily. I mean, there's some really bad tight ends this year, and we're going to get to one of those in the duds section. But I just had to mention David Njoku just because he has been stepping up since he's come back from injury for sure. Mm-hmm. So, all right, so over to the duds, and I'm absolutely baffled with this one. I mean, we're talking about how bad Pat Mahomes has been.
Right.
Kind of just like sitting in the shadows because everybody's focused on how bad Pat Mahomes has been for fantasy. CJ Stroud's going, you keep paying attention to him because CJ Stroud just threw for 86 passing yards.
I can't call it. What's going on there, Joe?
What? I mean, I have no idea. I mean, look, I know you lost Nico Collins. You've still got Stephon Diggs. You've still got Tank Dell. You've still got Joe Mixon, who's a pass-catching running back. You've still got Dalton Schultz. Like, what the hell is going on out here, right? I mean, that meme just keeps playing in my head. Like, what the hell is going on out here? I have no idea. Like, CJ Stroud, not very good right now for fantasy, unfortunately. And he was making it work. He was making it work with Nico, and Nico Collins was leading the league in receiving yards. And it looked okay last week. Dude, you can't even throw over 100 yards. That's bad. I mean, Green Bay's defense is not that good.
Right.
I don't even know where to go with it. Right. It's kind of like Dallas Cowboys last week. Like when I wrote the usage article over on Fantasy Six Pack, right? And I literally just wrote in there the Rico Dowdell and Zeke's stat line from last week, and of course they got smashed by Detroit, right? 47-7 or whatever that noise was, right? It was like, yes, I know it was a blowout, but like, how did the Cowboys think that? Oh yeah, we're getting our asses handed to us. Our best chance of coming back is playing Zeke more than Rico Dowdell. Like, it's that kind of baffling in my mind. Like, I just don't know what to think about this CJ Stroud performance.
Yeah, and I think like with offense, you just have that. I can't call it. I can't read tea leaves on this one.
No.
I don't know. Fluke games, bad games. At least on defense on my side, I can read the tea leaves. I can explain rationale. I can look at the receipts. I can check snap counts. You mentioned the Texans game. They played the Packers. My guy, actually, the one I'm looking at for a dud here, he's also in that game for the Green Bay Packers. And I'm just going to read this to you. We're talking about reading tea leaves,
we did not plan this back and forth like matchup. You just put your guys in, I put my guys in. I wasn't. This is great how this lined up.
You put me on a podcast, and I've mastered the art of transitioning. So I appreciate you, Joe. This guy here, Isaiah McDuffie. Okay, I'm just going to read a little story to the audience. Week 1, 97% of snaps. Week 2, 89% of snaps. Week 3, 78% of snaps. You see my hand going down like the Titanic. Yep. Week 4, 76. Week 5, 59. Week 6, 45. Yikes. Get off the Isaiah McDuffie train while you can. I'd say drop him. Clever owners are trading him. I just packaged him up in King of IDP off Facebook. That's that Facebook chat that we're in, Joe. I just packaged him up, and I got Buda Baker off of that one. But get rid of him while you can. The ship is sinking. And I think the rationale there is Edge Cooper, the rookie. This is usually the start of when we start seeing these rookies get more snap counts and usage, at least on IDP side. And fun fact for the audience, I write the waiver wire article over here, Fantasy Six Pack. I wrote an entire waiver wire article, just sent out, just published, based on Mad Max puns and little metaphors. So if you guys like Mad Max, you guys like rookies, that one's for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're talking snap counts, man. Like, what do you do with snap counts for a quarterback? They're on the field the entire game.
Right. Still, you can't call it.
Yards. Like what? Like, no. That's not supposed to happen. All right. So next up for me here is Diontae Johnson. So the Panthers are the Panthers, right? Whatever. We know they're not a very good team. But, like, ever since they switched over to Andy Dalton, the offense has been humming a little bit. Chuba Hubbard's been good. Diontae Johnson's been like a top 10 receiver ever since Andy Dalton got put in under center. They're playing the Commanders. Everybody's going, smash, 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 right? This is an absolute smash spot. The Commanders allow, like, wide receiver ones, like they're just handing them out. Like, it's candy. Like, here, you want wide receiver ones? You want wide receiver one? Do you want a wide receiver one for the week? You're it. Tag, right? You're it. Diontae Johnson he saw one target in the first drive, did not see an entire target the rest of the game. How do you not target your number one receiver against arguably one of the worst secondaries in the NFL the entire rest of the game? I have no idea. Like, nobody could have predicted this. Now, I'm not blaming Diontae Johnson. He obviously came out super frustrated in the media, said, look, I can't play every position. Like, I mean, it's just another one of those, like, what do you do, man? You started this guy, you're predicting at least like 12, 15, probably more points, right, from him. And you got almost nothing.
What sucks about Diontae Johnson, if I'm playing deep enough, I still got to start him. Like I have no other choice. Like, what am I going to put in there?
He's
Like,
been good. So,
I
like,
know.
why wouldn't you want to start him?
I
He
know.
legit for the
take
last
your
like
lumps.
4 weeks. He's been receiver. I want to say he's been like receiver number 4.
Mm-hmm. If you drafted him that high, you got to start him. Just like these IDP.
Well, nobody drafted him that high.
boosters, you
That's
have
for
to play
sure.
them.
So that's the one thing. So nobody
Well,
drafted
you know
him
what I
high.
mean? Like,
They were getting
he definitely
yeah,
got drafted, but he didn't run that high. But
yeah, man. So who is your next up here?
same apply. Like this guy here, he's not a bad player, but people are, you know, with the pitchforks, like the movie Frankenstein, you know, they're out there with the pitchforks and the torches, and they want to scream Bobby Okereke off the roof. Okay, Bobby Okereke is okay, just like his name, Bobby Okay. The price tag you may have bought him for, that's the problem. Some sites had him all the way as high as their LB3, which is ridiculous. So I'm just going to read something to you real quick. He's graded out this year as a 67.9. That's his grade. His run defense is 57.3. His pass rush is 61.5. His coverage grade 71.7. Okay, that looks horrible. But when you go back and look at previous seasons, 2021, when he was with the Colts, similar grades, 58.5, 51.6, 72.5, and 59.5 coverage. Or even go back a little bit further, still with the Colts, 49.6, 44.1 run defense, pass rush grade 55.9, 54.7. So the point I'm trying to make with Bobby Okereke, much like Diontae Johnson, I'm not going to cut him. He's 100% snap count linebacker. I'm just within reason, you know, you bought him high, you're stuck with him. You can't pay high prices for guys that have a middling career. So last year, Bobby Okereke had a great breakout year with the Giants, and everybody wanted to hype him up like the next thing, you know, and just consider his career is kind of middling like it was with the Colts. That's kind of what you're expecting out of him. So, you know, with IDP, you always want to buy them on the low, kick the hubcap, kick the tires, if you will. You know, spend your elite picks on your elite offense, and I will say that for 99% of drafts in leagues out there.
Yeah. So my next dud here for week 7 is the guy who was the number 1 PPR fantasy receiver through the first 4 weeks. Then he got hurt. Finally came back last week. Malik Nabers. First game back, okay, fine. Maybe give him a little bit of a pass. 41 yards, 8 targets, only able to bring in 4. Not a horrible day, right, for PPRs. You're still talking 8.1 points, but dude, you've been relying on 20 plus PPR points from this guy every single week outside of week 1. And you know, it's a shame to see it. Like the New York Giants as a whole just looked outmatched and not ready to play. I mean, I want to hear from your side. Like, what do you think happened with this? Because it was just stacked city, man. Like the Eagles, all the Eagles guys were just like racking up they had to have been racking up the IDP points, man. It was just sack after sack after sack. Every time Red Zone turned to him, it was, you know, Danny Dimes on the ground.
Well, you know, tight end is so iffy anyway, especially when we're drafting ones with touchdown regression. I mean, that comes and goes. That's like trying to get a guy. It's like investing in players with sacks and touchdown regression. That's a real thing from year to year, you know?
Well, no, I'm talking about Malik Nabers and the Giants.
Oh, yeah. But I'm just saying, just in general, just touchdown reception.
Yeah.
With Malik Nabers, I don't know, them rookie lumps, you know?
Just the Giants, in general. That's what I'm talking about. Like,
Mhm.
like those IDP points from the Eagles, man, must have just been crazy high last
I
week.
don't know.
I mean, all the sacks they had.
Mhm.
I mean, I think it was like first half, Dana Jones was sacked at least 5 times. It was bad. So, yeah, Malik Nabers disappointed for sure. I know a lot of managers were happy to have him back this week, and we're disappointed.
And I mean, that's just the lumps you're going to get with rookies, you know?
Yeah.
Where you got to play them.
Well, especially when they're on bad teams.
Mhm.
So
I would wager being on a bad team, being a wide receiver is a good position to have. I'd wager you're going to have better weeks with Nabers than you would bad. So,
yeah. Whew. Yeah, I'm looking it up now. Dana Jones was sacked 7 times. My goodness. That's a lot. All right, who's your last dud for week 7?
So the player's name is Josh Hines-Allen. Every time they change their names in the offseason, it tends to be a stroke of bad luck. See Shaq Leonard. But this guy had 2 tackles, just 2.5 sacks on the season. No real research, context, or thoughts here. It's just that it's Josh Allen, man. If you drafted him in leagues, let's think here. In my head, you got Crosby, Watt, Parson, Garrett, Hunter, Mack, maybe Hutchinson. Yeah, Judon. You had to have Landry, maybe. You had to have taken him in the first round of your drafts if you're an IDP league. So he's easily a top 8 or 9 off the board, and he's just drastically underproducing. And again, like we were talking earlier, touchdowns are fluky, sacks are fluky. It's kind of hard to gauge those each year. It goes up and down, and look no further than IDP to show you that. 2.5 on the season. Last year, he had lightning stats. So it's just a new year for him, and you just got to ride it out like you did with Malik Nabers.
Yeah, I mean, the weird thing with, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit in the usage article that's going to come out tomorrow, Tuesday. With the Giants, I mean, they ended up benching Daniel Jones. Now they're saying they're going back to him, but I mean, that just opens the door right there. But it's not like their backup is any good.
Right.
Who's excited about Drew Lock? No.
There's some guy in some 64 team league out there right now eating potato chips in his living room, listening to us be like, "Oh yeah." None of us are.
Oh my gosh. All right. Sorry. Oh, all right. So my last one and the last one for the show here, my dud to kind of close everything out. Sam LaPorta. Keep thinking it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen, right? The Detroit offense is humming, right? And Jared Goff, humming. I mean, he's got like a completion percentage, something crazy high right now.
It's bonkers.
The last 3 weeks, right? So if I do 5, 7, right? If they had their bye week mixed in there, did they have a bye week? Yeah, so I got to do 4 through 7. Yeah, so the last 3 games for Jared Goff, his completion percentage is 85%. I mean, yeah, he's only attempted the ball 68 times, but it doesn't matter. Like, he's still got more completions than a lot of quarterbacks because his completion percentage is so high. So you see that, you're thinking Sam LaPorta is good, right? No. 17 total targets on the season. 1 touchdown. Look, we all knew touchdown regression was coming, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was not. Look, he was reliant on the touchdowns last year. He was good overall, but 10 touchdowns or whatever it was, only tight end in double digits. We knew the touchdown regression was coming, but not this bad. He's barely getting used. I mean, it's impossible to drop Sam LaPorta at this point because tight end is so bad.
Right.
And you invested probably a 3rd round pick on him. What's up, Mark? But I mean, it's kind of like with me and Mark Andrews in a couple of leagues where I spent up on Mark Andrews. I used to sit on my bench, and I'm using I picked up Hunter Henry, and I used him over Mark Andrews. And I mean, now Mark Andrews scored tonight, but it's you've just got to go look elsewhere. And yeah, I say give it at least a few more weeks. If he doesn't pick things up soon, I think you just got to cut bait. I really do. It's hard, but at some point, it's a sunk cost. You just gotta move on because it's just clogging up a roster spot.
Jared Goff was QB7 this week, the week before QB4, bye week, as you mentioned, QB4 the week before. None of that stuff is going to LaPorta, and we can do a whole nother podcast on the erratic case of tight ends this year. I don't know where it's going. I don't know where are my Mark Andrews, where are my Sam LaPortas this year. It just doesn't make sense. It's a big enigma, but tight end is so tricky this year to kind of roster.
I mean, yeah, you look at it, I know everybody's like, oh, Brock Bowers is awesome. Brock Bowers is awesome. Don't get me wrong, Brock Bowers is playing fantastic, and he's seeing a boatload of targets. Mm-hmm. Dude, any other year, Brock Bowers is not tight end one right now. I'm sorry. He's just not. Right. There's no games over 100 yards. He only has one touchdown. Any other year, Brock Bowers is not getting this much hype.
Agreed.
There's no way.
It's just a down year for Andrews, like you said, a down year for Kelsey. This is going on LaPorta. You name it. This is the only reason that he's pushed up. So let people buy him next year, and we'll go after LaPorta to see what happens.
Yeah, I wonder how far down LaPorta stock will go if he continues on this trajectory of very below average play. What is his tight end ranking right now? I'm actually kind of curious. In full PPR leagues, he is, let's be fair and do 1 through 6 because this week hasn't ended yet. LaPorta is tight end 16. I'm actually kind of surprised it's that high. To be honest, I really am. That just goes to show you how bad the tight end position is. When he's got 17 targets on the whole year, and he's tight end 16. But all right, man. Well, that is it. Mark's over here claiming that Ravens might be a Super Bowl team. Is this Mark Strasburg? All right. So that's it for the show, man. Steve, thanks for coming on and picking this back up, man. I had fun doing it. Everybody else, hopefully y'all liked it. We're gonna do this every Monday night during the Monday night games. Hopefully hit it off and knock it out in about a half hour. Just doing this exact format. Jump in, ask us questions. Let's have some conversations. Let's have some fun. And of course, hit that subscribe button, like button, you name it. Become an all access member. Jump in our Discord. We look forward to talking to you. And Steve, looking forward to talking to you next week, man.
Thank you. And then they can also check out these award-winning rankings, right, Joe?
Absolutely. All right, man. We out.